After I declined to work a double shift again, my coworker scoffed, "Guess some people think they're too good for real work." When I stayed silent, he yelled, "Lazy people like you don't last here." I nodded politely, gathered every policy violation he'd bragged about in the break room, and sent it to compliance. Watching him be escorted out of the building was the best coffee break I ever took. I never wanted to be part of any drama. That's not who I am. I do my job. I stay in my lane. I've been working at the same distribution center outside Davenport, Iowa, for a little over 2 years now. It's not glamorous work, loading, scanning, packing, moving, but it pays the bills. It gives me health insurance. It gives my son a stable life. That's all I really care about. The place runs on 12-hour shifts, and I work nights. I like the quiet of it. Fewer people, fewer interruptions. Most nights, the job is routine, tedious, but steady. You learn to appreciate a boring shift when you've got real problems waiting for you at home. Bills. Kids. Broken appliances. Stress that doesn't clock out. Then came Brett. He showed up maybe 6 months after I started. Mid-40s, tall, buzz cut that said I peaked in the Marines, even though no one could actually confirm if he ever served. He carried himself like he was better than the job, better than the people doing it. From day one, he was loud, pushy, always talking over people. Called people rookie, kid, sweetheart. Didn't matter how long you'd been there. Gotta move faster, he'd bark. You're costing the company money. He wasn't a manager, but he acted like one. The real supervisors just let it happen. They liked him. Thought he was motivated. He worked doubles constantly. He made sure everyone knew it. Every time he picked up a shift, he made it a production. "Guess I'm the only one who gives a damn about this place," he'd say, loud enough for anyone within 50 feet to hear. At first, I tried to steer clear. I had my routine, clock in, do my shift, clock out. But Brett had a way of pulling people in. He'd sit in the break room like it was his stage. Always talking. Bragging. Always acting like the company would collapse without him. Like we were lucky to be in his presence. He'd brag about the dumbest stuff. "Clock in before you even park," he told a newer guy once. "That way you get paid for walking in." "You ever get caught?" the guy asked. Brett laughed. "They'd have to check, and they're too lazy to care." "You think upper management's gonna track your GPS? Please." Another time, he talked about how he never checked barcodes on pallets. "Why would I waste time scanning? It's all going to the same place anyway." "You ever get written up?" someone asked. "Nope," he said with a smirk. "Because I do it fast, and fast gets rewarded around here." It bothered me. Not just because he was getting away with it, but because he made people who did follow the rules look bad. Like we were slow. Inefficient. Weak. I watched good workers get chewed out for mistakes that happened on Brett's shift, stuff he probably skipped over, then let someone else clean up. It got worse over time. He'd take long bathroom breaks and be gone for nearly an hour. I caught him once, sitting in his truck watching videos, vape in hand. When I walked by, he just winked. "Gotta decompress, right?" I should have reported him. Maybe I would've, if he wasn't so chummy with management. They loved him. They saw a guy who picked up every shift and never complained. They didn't care how he got the numbers. They cared about the numbers. That's how these places run. But the turning point, what finally pushed me over, was a Tuesday. We were halfway through our shift, unloading trucks. The supervisor walked over and asked if I could stay for a double. I'd already told them earlier in the week that I couldn't. My kid had a dentist appointment. I had to be home. I explained again, politely. Then, from behind me, I heard that voice. "Brett. Guess some people think they're too good for real work," he said, loud enough for the whole dock to hear. I didn't respond. He got louder. Lazy people like you don't last here. I turned, looked him in the eye, and just nodded. Not a word. I didn't give him the fight he wanted. But something inside me clicked. I went home that night, tucked my son in bed, and opened a blank document. I started writing. Everything I could remember about Brett. Every brag, every lie, every time he cut corners. I wrote down dates, who was in the break room, what he said. I included times I'd seen him leave the building during his shift, times pallets went missing or ended up in the wrong spot. I even included the time he messed up a medical shipment and blamed the system glitch, when I knew he hadn't scanned the box. I didn't just send it to my supervisor. I sent it to corporate compliance. I sent it to HR. I attached screenshots from security camera timestamps that didn't match his clock-ins. I spent hours on it. Because I wasn't going to be called lazy by someone who scammed his way through every shift. A week went by. Then another. Nothing happened. But on the third Thursday after I sent the report, I was in the break room pouring a stale cup of coffee. The door opened. 2 men in suits walked in, flanked by HR and the floor manager. Everyone went quiet. They didn't even look around. They went straight to Brett. "You need to come with us," one of the suits said. Brett laughed. "What is this? You guys finally realizing I'm carrying this place?" They didn't smile. "Now," the other one said. He stood up, face pale. "Wait. What's going on? Did something happen?" No one answered. They walked him right out of the break room. Past the vending machines. Past the workers. Right out the front door. He didn't say a word. And I took the first sip of my coffee. It tasted better than any break I'd ever had. You'd think that would be the end of it. That after Brett was walked out, everything would go back to normal. It didn't. For a few days, things were quiet. People whispered in the break room. Nobody said Brett's name out loud, but you could feel it in the air, like someone important had died. Some folks were relieved. Others were nervous. And a few were clearly pissed off. Especially one guy, Kyle. Kyle was Brett's little shadow. Younger guy, maybe late 20s, always laughed at Brett's jokes, always picked up after him. Brett used to call him kid, and Kyle wore it like a badge. After Brett got escorted out, Kyle didn't say much. Just kept working. But every now and then, I'd catch him watching me. Staring. A week later, I found a screw stuck in my rear tire. Could have been bad. But I caught it before driving home. Just enough air left to limp to a tire shop. I didn't say anything. I couldn't prove it. Next week, my lunch went missing from the fridge. Just mine. I asked around. Nobody saw anything. Then I started getting written up. Failed to scan properly. Misplaced pallet. Slow performance. I'd been there over 2 years without a single warning. Now, in 3 weeks, I had 3 write-ups. I asked the supervisor what was going on. "Just doing what compliance tells us," he said, shrugging. "Someone upstairs is watching closer now." I knew what was happening. They couldn't get Brett back. But someone was trying to make me pay for what happened. I went home that night, sat on my porch, and thought about quitting. Thought hard. Then I thought about my son. About how I'd worked late shifts, weekends, all of it just to keep things stable. I wasn't going to let some low-level bullies chase me out. So I pushed back. I requested my employee file. Took notes on every task I did, every shift, every scan. If a write-up came, I asked for timestamps and footage. I made sure every mistake that hit my name could be checked. And more than once, it came back clean. Someone was messing with the system. The final straw came on a Friday night. I was unpacking detail when I caught Kyle behind the loading rack with his phone out, pointing it at the barcode scanner. He was logged in under my ID. My ID. I snapped a picture. Then I walked right over to the manager's office and told them everything. Gave them my own timestamped photo. Told them to check the login logs. That was the moment the tide turned again. 3 days later, Kyle was gone. Escorted out the same door Brett had walked through. But this time I didn't even need coffee. I just watched him leave. And this time, I smiled. After Kyle got the boot, I thought maybe, that would be it. I was wrong. The day after he was fired, I found a note in my locker. Folded, no name, just one sentence, "You're not as safe as you think." My hands actually shook holding it. I told HR. They opened a formal investigation, which meant they asked me 2 questions and then did nothing. Said there were no cameras near the lockers. Said they'd monitor the situation. That was it. So I started documenting everything again. Every weird look. Every missing label. Every time my workstation was mysteriously out of tape or batteries or printer paper, just mine. I wasn't imagining it. Then one night, our systems crashed mid-shift. Total network failure. It happened right after I'd clocked in and started scanning. Whole floor went dark, just blinking red lights and frozen screens. The tech team came in the next day, and after a few hours of digging, they said someone had plugged in an unauthorized USB drive to one of the scanning terminals. Could have compromised the network, they said. Could have been malware. The next day, I got called into HR again. You were the last employee to use that terminal, they said. I told them I didn't plug anything in. I had no reason to. I don't even bring a USB drive to work. But it didn't matter. They said they had to suspend me until we finished the investigation. Just like that, I was out. No pay. No idea how long. I went home in shock. Sat on my couch while my kid played in the next room, completely unaware that everything might be falling apart. That night, I got a text from a blocked number. Now we're even. It clicked. Brett. Not just him. Someone was helping him from the inside. He had friends. Kyle was one, but not the only one. They were still mad. Still holding a grudge. Still trying to punish me for exposing him. So I made a call. Not to HR. Not to my supervisor. I called a guy named Curtis. Curtis used to be the night shift lead until he got fed up with all the BS and quit last year. He'd seen it all. And I knew he had stories. When I told him what happened, he laughed, hard. You think you're the only one Brett messed with? He said. Hell no. That guy was running games for months. Skimming hours, moving company boxes into his trunk, even selling product on the side. My jaw dropped. Wait, selling product? Oh yeah, Curtis said. I told HR, but they didn't listen. Too busy counting his overtime. I asked if he had proof. He did. Old photos. Emails. Even a time card where Brett had 2 overlapping shifts logged in different departments. Curtis sent it all to me. That's when I decided I wasn't just defending myself anymore. I was going to burn them all down. With Curtis's proof in hand, I didn't go back to HR. I went straight to the top. Corporate headquarters. Their ethics hotline. I sent everything, Brett's scams, the timecard theft, the photos of him loading merchandise into his trunk, the records of me being set up. I included the screenshots from my own suspension case. I even named names. I didn't care about stepping on toes anymore. They wanted to suspend me? Fine. But I wasn't going to let them do it quietly. I told them I was getting a lawyer. I didn't even have one yet. But the threat was enough. 2 days later, I got a call. Not from HR. From legal. They told me my suspension was lifted. They said it was a misunderstanding, and they apologized for the inconvenience. Right. When I came back in, the floor felt different. 3 supervisors were gone. One of them, Marla, had vouched for Brett every step of the way. Rumor was she'd been helping cover his missing inventory. She resigned the same day they reviewed my report. The company launched a full audit. Curtis was asked to send more records. He did. Turns out Brett had been stealing thousands of dollars in product. He had a little side hustle selling gear out of his garage. The man who once shouted, "Lazy people like you don't last here," was now under criminal investigation. But the real twist? HR never told anyone I was behind the report. But someone figured it out. Word spread. Some coworkers started giving me distance. Others, quietly, thanked me. Said they knew something was off but didn't want to get involved. Said I did what they wished they had the guts to do. I wasn't proud of how it all went down. I didn't enjoy the stress, the fear, the feeling like I was losing my job while someone else broke every rule and got away with it. But I wasn't sorry either. Because lazy people might not last here. But liars, thieves, and bullies? Not on my shift. I made mistakes, sure. I should have spoken up sooner. I let things slide too long. But once I acted, I finished the job. And next time someone tries to drag my name through the dirt, they better remember, I keep receipts.